Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Atlas World Group Incorporated, Glen Dunkerson.
What I'm going to do is I want to show you some industry information. I want to keep this relatively high level so you can understand. A lot of the people in the room probably sense this, but it's good to see numbers that the industry publishes. And this is coming from the American Moving and Storage Association, and this is 2010 versus 2009. I believe what you'll notice here, and those of you in the room who are experienced professionals lived through it, I think all of us will safely say 2010 was a lot better than 2009, which was not better than 2008. You know, it just kept on getting worse. But 2010 saw a nice recovery for the industry. As you can see, national account corporate clients, such as we have in the room here, accounted for the most increase in our business. And that's really great for a carrier like ourselves. It was good for our industry, good for Atlas, and you know, we really are appreciative of the confidence and the support you gave our company. Also the COD market, which we don't ignore, but it also rebounded nicely in 2010. The areas that truly faltered, and it's kind of bewildering to me because we saw a substantial increase in this, was the military and the government. On the industry, it fell in 2010. So I think that it's safe to assume that in 2011 we will see that rebound nicely. But for the corporate clients, we expect that to continue for 2011. In talking with several of you in this room, I was happy to hear that you're experiencing growth, hiring, transfers, you know, obviously to a mover's ear, we love it. So keep it up, talk like that. But I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you some of the concerns I have in the industry as we look forward. One of the things is that we all recognize unemployment is still high. While it has fallen recently, it is still, you know, hovering around 9%. And if you just look back a few years ago, when it was in the 5 percentile, and people thought this is the new norm, how quickly we learned it wasn't. So that's still a concern. I think it will continue to get better. But the other thing is the unstable real estate market. Those of you engaged in real estate fully understand the depth of that issue. It's a challenge that still hasn't gone away. It's improving in certain segments, but it's slow, extremely slow. And I think it will come out, but it may be 2012 or 13 before we fully say we've recovered from the real estate glitch that we've had. Fuel prices. I was shocked to see fuel prices in Chicago, but then I realized by talking to several of the natives here that Chicago has probably some of the highest fuel prices in the nation. Yes. $4.27, $4.29 a gallon for regular unleaded. Oh my gosh. Diesel, don't even go there. So some of the professional van operators in the room, I think, can attest to that. It's truly difficult to you know, go around the nation with the volatility in fuel prices. I don't see it getting better in the near future. We're going to have to ride the wave. Now, this is an issue that we've talked about for years, but professional van operators / drivers are always a concern, and the industry is addressing it in various ways. One, they're looking at bringing people up from the ground level, getting them involved in their organizations, let them fully grasp what they're trying to accomplish, and then getting them out on the road providing service. I think that we've done a lot of things positive that will make it more inviting for young men and women to enter this field and profession, and that's one, being able to get home and raise a family. The day of the road warrior is probably gone. The people that being out 45, 50 weeks a year and never seeing a family, those dinosaurs are slowly but surely just falling by the wayside. It's more important to have a family life. I think the professionals in our industry realize that and are doing things to adapt to that. The other thing that we're all concerned about is what the government does to restrict our ability to do business. And there's two things that all of us in the industry are watching closely. That's the hours of service. Believe it or not, folks, that affects all of us doing this work. Can you imagine a professional van operator, regardless of who it's affiliated with, pulling in front of one of your customers' home and working, and then, oh, I'm out of hours, I have to stop. And what do you do? So I think the government is a little naive when they don't specifically see we're not the same as some of the other trucking companies that are out there. So fortunately for us, which I'll talk about in just a second, we may have a receptive ear to listening to the industry. The last thing, well, one of the last things, the military is obviously a big part of our industry, and it's important. But the thing that they announced last year, they were going to have base realignments in 2011. We thought that they would spread throughout the year of 2011 and into 2012. Unfortunately for us, we discovered that they were going to put about 15 to 16,000 moves into the span of the peak season, which we thought was really enlightening, since these are supposedly knowledgeable people. So what we did was we're working with the government and the military to say, you know, we're coming up with different ways to handle their needs, but realizing that first and foremost, our company is a national account carrier. That's our priorities. We look to service our national account customers. So while it's a challenge, I think what we've done in favor of that is all of the industry is hired people. They're recruiting more operators to service the needs, and like you, we're gearing up to service the needs. So we're preparing for the increase. The last thing that I think I'd be remiss in saying from the 30,000-foot level is our infrastructure. If you have traveled the nation's highways, which I know most of you have, you've seen the deterioration of highways, roads, bridges, things of that nature. It's going to come back and haunt us if the government doesn't legislate some more funds for infrastructure. I can't emphasize that enough. It will harm us. I think the next 7-year plan that I've seen raised by the government is, as I said earlier, insufficient. I know it's going to change as time goes on, but that is a concern for the industry. Now, throwing out all these, it's really not all bad, and that's what I'm an eternal optimist, and you have to be when you survive the Great Recession that we've all gone through. So having said that, one thing that I'm really proud of to be associated with the American Moving and Storage Association is the efforts that they've made to promote what they call pro-mover. I'm happy to report the industry has embraced this. As an example, Atlas Fan Lines and our agents decided to have all of our agents be a part of AMSA because of this important initiative. And again, it establishes standards for the industry to follow. And just because you're a member of AMSA doesn't mean that you can be a pro-mover. You have to be, you know, meet the standards. Atlas meets those standards, and some of our competition does as well. I will never speak negatively of our competition. We're just better. So, did I say that? Anyway, the other thing I spoke about with the government, I'm happy to report that the FMCSA is, with Ann Farrow in charge, has been receptive to Atlas and the industry's suggestions. It doesn't fall on deaf ears anymore. I really believe we can talk to them, they listen, and they act. When I say act, they act with government intent, which takes time. It approximately, for something that they agree that needs to be done, it can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And that seems like an eternity for people in our industry that, you know, you need something, it should happen. So, but we are optimistic that it will continue to move forward. Receptive ear there. Atlas announced several years ago, exactly, we were the first in the industry to start doing background checks on our PVOs going into the residence. We expanded that to mean everybody going into the residence. The industry happily adopted the same philosophy, and I think it was the right thing to do, and that's one thing that AMSA has endorsed, and several of our nice competitors have as well. But I'm happy to report in Canada, our colleagues up there at Atlas Canada and the agency family there adopted something which I thought was so nifty. It's no stranger in your home. The only carrier in Canada to have this, and it's really innovative. The agents, I'm happy to report, embraced it openly, said, we've got to do this, and so it's going full force up there. For those of you that do business in Canada, you need to look at that. That's quite the remarkable feat on their part. The other thing that we had to do, and Atlas was not alone in this, we had to offer other services to you, the customer. And one of the things that we recognized right off the bat is there's other ways to move product and household goods. While containerization is slow to be adopted throughout the industry, we all realize that no matter if you're Atlas or other competitors, this has a place in relocation policy. I'm here to tell you 5 years from now, if I'm fortunate enough to still be speaking in front of you, this will be a part of probably major relocation policies. It is going to happen. Your younger employees, relocations, it just fits. It is a natural fit. Pros and cons. I get off my sales spiel. But look at containerization regardless of the carrier affiliation you're with. If you're not with somebody that has it, you probably should look. The other thing, and I think probably one of the key things in regard to this, is the relationships that are formed by forum and other things. I just walk around and see people interacting, talking. You can find out so much more by just listening to the much more intelligent people in this room than I am, how they do things. So I would say the customer service first theme that we had last year at the forum, for those of you that were here, thank you. And we don't forget about the themes. It's still an important part of what we're all about, and we have you to thank for that. So I'd be remiss if I didn't do this. I need to thank everybody from the agents of Atlas, the professional van operators of Atlas, and the employees of Atlas. Without all of you here, we wouldn't have a forum. Without all of you here, we wouldn't have a company. So again, I'm always grateful to be in front of you. Thank you very much. Enjoy the next day and a half. Enjoy last night, and learn, engage, have fun, and thank you very much.